For sure. You ready? You're not going to believe who the next one is. Who's the next one?
Mike.
Yep. 80 million. Underneath that, who's that?
Guess Dave.
How much do you think Dave is worth?
70.
60. Now, who do you think's worth more, Gary or Wolf?
Wolf.
And what do you think he's worth? Now, we can't count the inheritance because we're just talking about his own. Obviously, he's worth a lot more with the inheritance, but now just prior to the inheritance.
5 million.
Whoop. 10. And Gary is worth 5. How do you like that?
How can he be worth $10 million before the inheritance?
I don't know, but he did do 3 tours with Van Halen and did the album, but I don't know.
All right. All right.
I don't know.
Whatever. Okay.
It's a lot of cash for young men.
Okay.
So we're going to wrap things up with our last note here. Dave, EVH Con 2021 took place, the 6th annual EVH Con, which was held on November 7th at the Greenwich Music Establishment in Riverdale, Connecticut, where it's held every year. It was held.
How the hell do we keep missing that?
Wait a second. I'm going to explain why. So this year it was not open to the public. It was a private invitation-only event. And it was run by 2 guys by the name of Joe Suma and Jim Vombas. They founded the EVH-Con. They were the first ones to do it, which they started back in 2015. They did not have it in 2020 because of the pandemic, of course. But this one was not publicized or open to the public. It was pretty much invite-only and kind of alumni from the past years. They had a group of about 40 people. Over the course of, I guess, the day, it was about 80 people. They came from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and even some people from Seattle, Dave. They had several guitars there, including 5150 replicas, Frankenstein replicas, the Rob Johnson Steinberger that was recently rebuilt and painted by Jeff Babix, who built and painted Ed's original Burger guitar. They had an exact replica of Eddie's Snake guitar there, and a replica of Eddie's 1984 guitar, and several custom painted PV and EVH Wolfgangs. They had a house band who played. It was Joe Suma from Unchained, the New Jersey-based tribute band, Jim Bombas from Halen, the Connecticut-based tribute band, Joe Girard from Everybody Wants Some, which is a Massachusetts-based tribute, John Conklin from Halenville on YouTube, Jeff Kamen, the bassist for Halen from Connecticut, Peter Kurucucu, I'm sorry, Peter, it's hard to pronounce his last name. It's Carruciu, and he is the guitarist for the New York cover band Franks and Beans. That's a cool name.
Franks and Beans!
Jim Alexu is the guitarist for the Motormouth band in New Jersey. I did an incredible set list here, Dave. Unchained, Running with the Devil, Light Up the Sky, Mean Street, 5150. Somebody get Dr. Secrets, Dave. They did that one for you. The Full Bug, Where Have All the Good Times Gone? One Way to Rock, DOA, On Fire, Feel Your Love Tonight, So This Is Love, Jamie's Crying, Run Around, Hot for Teacher, House of Pain, Out of Love Again, Ice Cream Man, I'm the One, and Girl Gone Bad. Lots of nice, chunky, deep album cuts there. They had guests that were there. We were Scott Smith, who is a legendary Eddie Van Halen replica builder. He personally set up the Frankenstein guitar and the EVH display at the Met exhibit in 2019, as well as Steve Nowicki from the Howard Stern Show, who is a rabid EVH fan, and he brought his incredible 5150 replica he built and painted himself, and they had a really nice time. So congrats to you guys. Another successful EVH Con. Although Dave and I weren't there, we wanted to give you some love and congratulate you on another successful year after a difficult COVID time. What do you make of that, Dave?
Man, I'm going to have to start kissing Jim's butt from the Halen tribute band here in Connecticut. Next time I see him, I'm going to have to schmooze him a little bit and get in on the invitation next year.
Yeah, I know. You're slacking. And you're living in Connecticut.
I know. And I see, well, I don't see the band every time they play, but I see them a couple times a year. So next time I see Jim, I'm going to have to mention that to him and get an invite to that bad boy.
We'll have to see. Well, that wraps up Van Halen news.
And that's the way it is. Good night.
And we are on to our Thanksgiving episode, Dave. Well, we know it's time for Thanksgiving, and we've got to put a bird in the oven, And this bird is Chickenfoot III, Dave. And we already talked about Chickenfoot 1, so we're talking about Chickenfoot 3 for its 10th anniversary. Chickenfoot 3 album came out in 2011, if you can believe that. Time has gone by. Dave and I do a deep dive discussion on Chickenfoot 3. And then I have an interview with Chickenfoot guitarist Joe Satriani himself. Unbelievable guy. Interesting thing here is, not only is he the guitarist for Chickenfoot, we get into his new album, Shapeshifting, where he did a song called 1980, which is the first single off the record, which is sort of a tribute to Ed. He plays in the style of Eddie Van Halen there. We talk about Ed and his feelings about Ed. This is prior to Ed passing when I spoke to him. I spoke to him just before the pandemic because he was doing press at that time, and I wanted to save the interview for the Chickenfoot 3 episode. But we talk about Ed. He's not memorializing him, but he's paying tribute to him. Even before his passing, he was paying tribute either way, just basically for his playing in the style of the era, for sure. We talk about Chickenfoot, and we talk about the whole heartbreak of that situation. We get into that in a deep way, and then all other kinds of stuff. We even talk about, Dave, how Marvel made him take the Silver Surfer off the cover of Surfing with the Alien after 30 years of selling it. If you can believe that, we get into that.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm going to listen intently just for that.
And he describes the entire process as to what happened, how they went through it. It's just incredible. I tell you, Joe is the sweetest, nicest, calmest guy. He's such a doll. Really, really super nice guy, Joe. Very, very, very cool. Unbelievably talented. I say this in the deep dive discussion. Joe's solo career is one of my all-time favorites. His catalog is really flawless. It really is amazing. I mean, every album is a different journey. I can't suggest it enough. If you guys like rock guitar, and I know everybody's a big Eddie Van Halen fan, we understand that Eddie's the greatest in this and that. For sure. For sure. No one's doubting that. But trust me when I tell you, if you are a fan of Ed's, which everybody is, if you like that, you'll love Joe. And not that Joe copies Eddie, he's very different, but you'll enjoy it. Trust me. Just great, great stuff. And his new album, Shapeshifting, is just incredible. But before that happens, we have a sack of mail to get through, and we are going to be doing that coming up next. Take a listen.
Thank you, buddy. How do you do, all of you out there in video land? My name's Dave, but you can call me Dave. Yes, indeed. Hopping and bopping and popping with the best bet for the top of the pop smash gold at the boss beat with the timely tunes for those with a textured taste. Shut up, baby. No time to waste.
If you need a dose of VH, get a taste of the closest thing. Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band, playing all the hits from the David Lee Roth era, the first classic 6 albums, plus deep cuts, some of which have never been played live before by the band. They even throw in popular tracks from the Sammy Hagar era and solo hits. The most viewed Van Halen tribute band on YouTube, Romeo Delight, doing customized recreations of staging, instruments, and costumes from the classic Van Halen era. They even perform entire Van Halen albums in sequence. Romeo Delight plays theaters, casinos, summer indoor and outdoor festivals, and special events. They're also available for private parties. To contact them, call Bud Blanche at 215-704-5144. That's 215-704-5144. Or via email at sonicparade1@yahoo.com. Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band. Are you a guitar enthusiast? Want to learn all the tricks and licks of the trade? Searching for that Eddie Van Halen sound and speed? Want to play in the style of Alex Lifeson of Rush, Mick Mars of Motley Crue, or Brian May of Queen? Then sign up for Zoom lessons from the best. Lance Turner, the guitarist for the #1 Van Halen tribute band, the Atomic Punks. Lance will take you on as his personal student in the comfort of your own home on Zoom. To sign up, contact Lance via email at lancetLessons@gmail.com. Lessons are at an affordable rate of $40 an hour. Email Lance today at lancetLessons@gmail.com. That's LANCETLESSONS@gmail.com. And learn how to jam like a star.
This is Michael Christopher, author of Van Halen, The Eruption and the Aftershock, and you're listening to Dave and Dave Unchained.
Pick up the new coffee table-sized book, The Decade That Rocked, by legendary rock photographer Mark Weissguy Weiss. This 376-page book has hundreds and hundreds of full-color photos that Weiss shot through the 80s for magazines like Circus, Faces, and Hit Parader, featuring bands like Van Halen, Motley Crue, Twisted Sister, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, Ozzy Osbourne, and more. There's even behind-the-scenes stories to go with these colorful, eye-popping pictures. The Decade That Rocked, a new book by rock photographer Mark Weiss, is available for purchase now. Go to thedecadethatrocked.com, where there are exclusive bundles available with extra prints, t-shirts, and even patches. Inquire about the Van Halen bundle, especially made for Dave and Dave Unchained listeners. Order today. The Decade That Rocked. It'll rock your world.
Need a laugh? Check out the Funny How Comedy Podcast, which focuses on upbeat conversations with legendary comedians. It's free on Spreaker and iTunes. Check us out on Facebook at Funny How Comedy Podcast, on Twitter at Funny How Podcast, on Instagram at Funny How Comedy Podcast, or email us at funnyhowcomedypodcast@gmail.com.
I think we're just a from the heart rock and roll band, you know. They always try to pigeonhole you, you know.
Now that there's speed metal and trash metal and all that, it's not quite so humiliating.
Yeah.
No, that's stupid. But you know what I mean? It's like, you don't mind it as much. When that was like this outrageous, unthought of music, this trash, you know, what they call trash metal now, which I think is great, but I'm saying, but when heavy metal was considered like the unmusic thing,
Right.
It was an insult, because this band is very musical. It's probably one of the most musical rock bands around, I think, you know.
It's the most musical band I've ever been in.
All right, Dave, you know what time it is.
Well, my buddy Dave, he don't want me around. He says he's tired of watching me let him down. He just wants a good mailbag. He wants only the best. But he hates disappointment better than all the rest. And he says that he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble. Well, he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble. Well, he thinks that I'm headed for a whole lot of trouble if I don't nail the mailbag intro.
That's right, it's mailbag time again. And we got a nice top 10 here, Dave. Nothing too crazy this week, so we're going to go right into it. Letter number 1 comes from one of your favorites, Dave, Vegas Paul Davis. And he calls himself the unofficial Unchained correspondent. He went to Sammy's birthday bash a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
And he wanted to let us know that the town of Avalon is gorgeous on Catalina Island. He said it's like a little Cabo with no cars. It's super clean like the French Riviera. He attended the Saturday night show, which was the third night. And he says him and his brother went and they had a great time. They agreed, though, that the show was just okay. Probably being that it was the third night of partying for the band, and it had taken its toll a bit on them because, you know, they're older now. And he says the highlights for him were Pound Cake, Humans Being, and Marching to Mars. He said the show was a little short, less than 90 minutes, and not really much of an encore, but he says they met a nice couple on the flight back who had the VIP package. They said Thursday night was the show that they liked the best with the Q&A session, and he says their ticket was $750, if you can believe that. It was $1,500 for the pair for the whole VIP thing. And he says he recommends everybody in the Unchained Nation to try to see Sammy next year. He'd like to go back, but this time he'd check out the Friday show, and he's hoping that Sam adds to the set list Swept Away from VOA, as well as Boys Night Out. He says that's a what if for another time. He also wanted to let us know that Sammy's Beach Bar canned rum cocktails are delicious. They're low-cal and only 6% alcohol. So Vegas Paul Davis, Dave, that's what he lets us know, and he's happy to report all of that. And thank you, Paul, for definitely letting us know about all that. And I have to be honest, I think these back-to-back shows are insane, especially for guys of their age. Nobody is doing that. Everybody is spacing out their shows, especially in their age group, 4 to 5 days apart. And I